Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Chris and welcome back to another YouTube hacking video where we do quick 10-minute walkthroughs of hack-the-box machines to help you prepare for your OSCP exam. Today's machine is going to be Devvortex, and it's going to include a few topics such as subdirectory enumeration, a vulnerable Joomla version, some exposed hashes in MySQL, as well as a vulnerable sudo application. Hope you enjoy. All right, so jumping right in, as discussed, we're going to be doing Devvortex today. We're going to go ahead and hop into our Kali VM, and we're going to do the first thing we do on every machine is run an initial scan of our ports. I use auto recon for this, as I've discussed before. It's just the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. So the command's up here. You can pause the video if you'd like to copy it down, but we discovered two ports. I ran it ahead of time. We discovered two ports, port 22 and port 80. So 22 is going to be SSH, which we don't find a vulnerable version or any like default credentials on that. So we're going to skip over that one, and we're going to head right into 80. 80 is going to take us to a web server for Devvortex. When you first type in the IP into your browser, you'll see it redirects to devvortex.htb. So what we're going to do is actually add that to our etc hosts file. So I'm going to go ahead and do sudo vim etc hosts. And as you can see, I already added it in here. So it's going to be the IP for your hack the box machine as well as devvortex.htb. I also added a subdomain in there, and we'll go over that in a second. So now I'm going to go ahead and write and quit out of this. And then as you can see in our browser now, when we navigate to devvortex.htb, we get this page. You can start running a directory scan for this page, which I would recommend on any new machine. But I'm going to go ahead and do a spoiler and say you're not going to find anything off this default devvortex.htb website. And we're going to actually have to do some subdirectory enumeration, as you saw before in the host file. So I went ahead and did that ahead of time, and let's go ahead and look at that. And as you can see, I use fluff for this, and you can use this command at the top, pause it if you need to write it down. And after running this command and running through this sort of smaller word list, 5,000 words, we found the subdirectory dev. So as you saw before, I went into my etc host file and added dev.devvortex.htb into it. You can navigate to that page, but I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to I ran a directory scan on that dev subdirectory. And within that, you're going to find this /administrator directory. So we're going to go ahead and click that, go in there, and you're going to go ahead and see there is a Joomla CMS running on this server. If we run, I already ran it ahead of time, if we run a search for a Joomla CMS version, like how to find the version endpoint, Google's little AI right here will tell us we just need to navigate to this link, which I already did here. And as you can see within here, the version running is 4.2.6. If you do a little Googling for that version, if you do like Joomla 4.2.6 or Joomla CMS 4.2.6 vulnerabilities, you're going to find the CVE 2023, 23752. And going into that, if we scroll down a little bit, we'll see all we have to do is enter this curl command here, and it's going to give us some information. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this curl command, head back into my terminal, go back into my regular terminal. I'm going to paste this in, and I'm going to change it to the subdirectory that we found, .htb. Enter that in. All right, and we're going to get some results in here, and you'll see some attributes listed below. One of the things that I want to highlight here is if we scan over this text here, we're going to see a password. So Panther, blah, 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 but whatever it's called. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and write that one down. And then it should, I believe, also list so we can see it's a MySQLi. We see the password, we see the host, and we see the user, Lewis, as well. So we got a password, we got a username and a password in there. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down, Lewis, and then that password. I'm going to recopy that password as well. Okay, now that we have that username and password, I'm going to give you a spoiler. You can try to SSH with it. It's actually not going to work. But if we remember, when we found that initial Joomla login, we can try to enter it here. So I'm going to enter Lewis, and I'm going to paste that password that we found in. I'm going to click Login, and it's going to take us to a dashboard here. Now that we have access to that dashboard, we can go ahead and head into the System tab on this left side here. From there, we're going to click on Administrator Templates is the path that I'm using. I think you can use any of the templates, but we'll just head into Administrator Templates. We'll click on this Atom template file. And we'll go ahead and edit any one of these to have a reverse shell. I like to go to revshells.com. You just type in your IP, use port 44 or 4444 in my case, or whatever port you want to use. And I go down to this PHP Ivan Sinkek one. So I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm going to go to my error.php. As you can see, I already put it in here, but I would just highlight everything, copy, paste that. And now that it's in there, I'll click save. Oops, sorry, I clicked off of it. Let's go back. It's in there. I click save. And then I'm going to copy the file path here. And I'm going to paste it into our URL right here. And before I go ahead and follow that, I am going to start up a listener. I like to use Penelope for this, so I'm going to use Python penelope.py. I highly recommend this one because it'll automatically upgrade your shell and kind of do a lot of that, the upgrading process that's kind of a pain normally. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. As you can see, it already starts on 4444 as a default. So that's listening right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this URL and hit enter to follow the URL. And as you can see, Penelope catches the shell. I'm going to do who am I, ID, and we can see we get access as the user www-data for a low-level user shell. Okay, so now that we've accessed the www-data user, we're going to go through some of our normal checks, which will eventually lead us to go ahead and look at the home directory, and we'll see a user within called Logan. And inside we can see that user.txt file, which we're actually looking for the flag. So with that in mind, we know we need to probably find the password for this user. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use MySQL, and I'm going to log in as that Lewis user we found that logged into the web portal. And I'm going to go ahead and reuse the password from before. And that'll give us access to SQL. I'm going to do show databases to see what we're working with here. Oops. And then I'm going to use that Joomla database. I'm going to use show tables now to see what we can use. And then I'm going to go ahead and select everything from this users table. Copy and paste that. Within there, we can see a user named Logan, and inside we have a hash we can go ahead and copy. I'm going to copy that, and what I'll actually do is put it into a hash file, which I already did ahead of time. I just called it logan.hash, and I ran it against John. So I did John Logan hash and ran it against the Rocky password list, and we eventually get a password, te quiero mucho. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my list of users. I'm going to say Logan and colon and put his password there, and we can attempt to SSH as Logan now. So I'm going to do SSH Logan at our IP, paste that password in, and we get access as Logan. So we're going to go ahead and look at that home folder, and we can cat that user.txt flag now. All right, so we're going to go through our usual checks, and one of the first things I like to check is to see if we have any ability to use the sudo command as our user. I'm going to go ahead and paste that password in again. And as we can see, we can run this apport CLI program as sudo. So what we're going to do is we can try running it and just kind of see what it looks like. But we can also just Google that apport CLI exploit, and we'll come across this CVE 2023-1326. We get a bunch of hits for that, and we even have a medium right up here, which I'll link in the description. And it's pretty simple. So what it's going to say is you're going to go ahead and run the command with this file bug option. We're just going to press I think it says any number for it, but we'll just do 1, and then we'll press 2, and then we'll press V, and it'll give us a less instance, and we can escape less with a system command and get a root shell. So I'm going to go ahead and do sudo. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to use that dash. Let's see what he wrote in there. File bug. And then when I get my prompt, I'll just hit 1, and then I'll just hit 2 here. I'm going to press any key when it prompts me to. We'll give it a second. And then when I get to this point, I'll just press V to view. And as we can see, we're actually in an instance of less right now running as sudo. And in less, you can run system commands. So we're going to go ahead and type exclamation point bin bash, or exclamation point, or bang, whatever you want to say, bin bash. and then we get a root shell. So ID, we're going to see root, and then we can cd into our root folder. We'll look at everything in here, and then we'll cat that root flag, and we own Devvortex. And that's going to be Devvortex. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to use the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.